Hi teacher, now we are going to talk about a speaking section. My name is Gabriela Palacios and now I am going to talk about the overview of the speaking section. The speaking is the third section in the TOEFL ABT exam, and this section has 6 speaking questions. The questions ask for a response to a single question based on a conversation, a talk, or a lecture. The prompts and the questions are presented only one time. For this reason, it is very challenging for some students. You have the opportunity to take notes about a lecture or the talk, but the notes are not graded. The reading passage and the questions are written, but the directions will be spoken. In some cases, you have 15 seconds to prepare your answer, and in other cases, you have 20 seconds. And in some cases, you have 45 seconds to respond, and in other cases, you have 1 minute or 60 seconds. You will have about 20 minutes to complete all the speaking section. The review of problems for the speaking section. First, we have the prompts. A prompt for the speaking section is either spoken or written. Each question has a slightly different prompt. There are 6 sets of prompts in the speaking section with one question after each set. The scripts for the spoken prompts can be printed for you to study while you listen to them. As I said before, you have the opportunity to take notes about the main points of the listen, and you will see the written announcement and textbook passages, and you will also see the questions while you hear them. The problem 25, you have the experiences. In this part, the test taker must talk about his or her experience. For example, talk about a place, a person, a position, a situation, or an occasion, and explain your choice. In this part, you have 15 seconds to prepare your answer and 45 seconds to speak. The task is describe your experience and explain the reasons for your choice. It's time to talk. The test taker talk about his or her experience. Um, the problem is 26 preferences. In this part, the taker must talk about his or her preferences. For example, a situation, an activity, or an event, and make a choice between 2 options presented. You have 15 seconds to prepare and 45 seconds to speak to. And the task, choose between 2 options and explain the reasons for your preference. It's time to talk about the preferences. The criteria to evaluate those questions is the grammar, the vocabulary, coherence, cohesion, and the fluency, and also how you give your point of view about that topic.
Hello teacher, my name is Marlon Solis and I'm going to explain the other types of questions in the speaking section. So we have problem 27, reports. In question 3, you will be asked to read a short passage and to listen to a speaker on the same topic. The topic usually involves a campus situation and the speaker's opinion about it. After you hear the question, you will have to report the speaker's opinion and relate it with the passage. So we have the task in here is to summarize a situation and an opinion about it, to explain the reason or background, and to connect the reading and listening passages. So we have an example of the reading passage. In this, you have 45 seconds to read, 30 seconds to prepare, and 60 seconds to speak. In the same way, here is the listening script, and you can take notes. You should take notes. In this case, it's about a situation, plans to open a branch campus, and an opinion, which is redirect funds from main campus. With these notes, you can answer the question. The man expresses his opinion of the proposal in the announcement, report his opinion, and explain the reason he gives for having that opinion. The next, problem 28, examples. In question 4, you will have to listen to a speaker and read a short passage on the same topic. The topic usually involves a general concept and a specific example of it. The speaker sometimes provides a contradictory point of view. So after you hear the question, you will have to explain the example and relate it with the concept or the contrast ideas. Uh, in here, the task is to explain how an example supports a concept. Contrast one point with another point of view, and connect listening and reading passages as well. Here we have an example of a reading passage. You will have 45 seconds to read, 30 seconds to prepare, and 60 seconds to speak. In the same way, you have in here the listening script, and remember to take notes. It's important to take notes. In this case, the reading passage is talking about word endings and grammatical relation, and, and it provides an example of proof experiment at Berkeley. With those notes, you can answer to the question. The question is to describe the work experiment and explain why the results support the basic theory of child language acquisition. The next is problem 29. Problems. In question 5, you will have to listen to a conversation and to explain a problem as well as the solutions that are proposed. The task in here is to describe a problem or recommendations, to express an opinion or provide solutions, or to propose an alternative solution. In here, you have the listening example, the script. Specifically, you will have 20 seconds to prepare, 60 seconds to speak. Likewise, take notes are necessary. They can help you at the moment of speaking. In this case, the problem and possible solutions, opinions and reasons are established in the listening audio. So here the problem is that there is enough money, and some solutions are to use credit card or to take out student's loan. And a personal opinion is to pay the same day and not much money. With those clues or key points, you can answer the question. Describe the woman's budgeting problem and the two suggestions that the man makes. What do you think the woman should do and why? And finally, problem 30, summary. In question 6, you will have to listen to a part of academic lecture and to give a summary of it. The task in here is to comprehend part of an academic lecture and summarize the main points. Here we have an example of a listening audio, the script, and you will have 20 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. And in the same way, notes are taken, providing main points. In this case, it was talking about flute and speaker. And you can answer the question, which is using examples from the lecture, describe two general types of irrigation systems. Then explain the disadvantages of each type. So.
Okay, hi teacher, my name is Josue and I am going to explain about the speaking strategies. The first strategy is about anticipating the first question. This This question will request you to talk about familiar topics like your favorite person, place, activity, or item to talk about. For that reason, you can consider to practicing through possible answers like my favorite teacher is, my favorite city is, or my favorite class is. But it doesn't mean that you are going to memorize. On the contrary, it's not about memorization. It's about practicing in order that you can be ready for the real exam. Okay, one of the speaking strategies is supporting your answers. Remember that the most important in the speaking session is that you can convince the examiner about what you are saying. For that reason, you can use linking words like because or due to in order that you can support your ideas. Another strategy is that you understand the task. Is that you understand what you are supposed to do in each question or in each section. For that reason, you have to read carefully the question, and therefore you can respond to the topic or the examiner's instructions. Another strategy is to pronounce to communicate. Firstly, as an Ecuadorian Spanish speaker, I have my own accent, and my accent doesn't resemble to the standard language. And obviously in English it's different. So for that reason, the first step is to accept your own accent, but it doesn't mean that you are going to translate from Spanish to English. The most important is that you can use comprehensible and intelligible English language in the reading, in the speaking section. Another strategy is that you read 35 words per minute, because in one of the speaking in one section of the speaking, you will have to read 100 words each passage, and you will have about 4 or 5 seconds to respond to the reading session. Um, for that reason, at the end of the 45 seconds, you will have to answer one question. So for that reason, you can start practicing 130 words per minute. Another strategy is that you can pace yourself. Is that you can use a good English language in your exam. For that reason, you can follow these suggestions, like starting with a direct statement, make a few major points about what you're going to say, and also remember that you have to time yourself in order that you know how much time you're wasting in each question. Okay, moreover, you can prepare some key phrases, like, for example, in the first question, experiences, you can fulfill the empty spaces like my favorite cat, for example. No, my favorite animal, for example, is cat because I hate dogs. But remember, the linked words is really important. Supporting is that, because you have to support what you are saying. The question two about preferences, as you can see, this speaker uses like although there are many good reasons why, although a good argument. So as you can see, you can follow this example. You can find more examples from question 3 to 5, and in question 6 you have to summarize definition, description, classification. So you can take this model in order to practice, but as I said before, it's not about memorization, it's about practicing. And you have to practice a lot. And that is it. Thank you.
I'm Maria Sanchez, and I'm gonna continue with speaking strategies. Use verbal pauses. If you get to the point where you don't know what to say, it's important that you use some verbal pauses to think instead of stopping and thinking in silence. You can say, okay, now, and so on. Those verbal pauses are very common in speech of native speakers, but it's important that you don't use too often those pauses because you can lose points. The next is correct yourself. An important question here is how can you correct yourself while you are speaking and also recognize the difference between mistake and slips. For example, in a sentence talking about a subject, if it is singular or plural, we can make mistakes. But if you hear the mistake and correct the slips by backing up and starting over is important. A good rule here is correct the slips in content and grammar and try to do quickly without interrupting the flow of your speech. The next one is speak to the criteria for evaluation. There are checklists for each question on the speaking section. If you don't know about it, get some help. Also, keep the checklist in mind and take the advantages of other options. The last one is stay positive. It's natural to be a little anxious about the speaking in a second language, but no, try not to be nervous or frightened, and because you need to focus on listening to the questions and also focus on taking notes if it is possible. And finally, take deep breaths and use positive self-talk, saying the phrases, I'm a good speaker and I'm ready to speak. Applying the academic skills to the TOEFL. There are 4 important academic skills. The first one is taking notes. It is an important academic skills because it helps you to adapt the type of question represented, and also you need to recognize the ability to take notes since it will support your success in every question. The next one is paraphrasing. Many of the answer choices are paraphrase of the information from the passage. Your ability to recognize paraphrases will be helpful to choose your answer. The next, summarizing. It's important that you take in account that you have 1 minute or less to respond each question, and also you must include all the major points. The last one, synthesizing, is also an important skill in 2 questions on the speaking session because you need to integrate abilities in reading and listening by synthesizing information to including accurate content in order to get a high score.
Hi, teacher. My name is Diego Mason, and I'm going to talk about some tips and some general information about the speaking section. So basically, first, we're going to talk about a study plan in which we have to review what we have learned during our practices. For example, if we have some difficulties during an exercise or with a type of question, we can review that and write it into our study plan for the future. We have to take a few minutes to revise what we have said. Maybe we have recorded ourselves, or we have done maybe a video recording of ourselves speaking. We can check that out and see how we have responded so we can improve some aspects. Next, we have to focus on the fact that practice makes perfect. So there are a few tips, which is first to listen for good models of speaking. Usually in similar situations, in the ones that you have felt that you are not good at doing as well. Then we have to focus on the research and this associating listening with speaking. What we have to know is that when we are going to do a listening, a speaking, I mean, we have to listen very carefully for specific things. So this way we can, if we are good at listening, we are good at speaking. Later, we have to focus on simulating similar situations, probably calling a friend and practicing with them. Finally, if we don't have that, we could practice with our teacher or with some experts. see how they answer, and try emulating them. Try copying how they react. So that would help us a lot. Finally, we are going to focus on the options for evaluation. So usually what they say is that we have to use some checklists to evaluate our speaking, or you also have some fee-based options online in which you have to pay a small fee so that people can evaluate you, evaluate how you answer properly. And then in the advisor's office section, we have to focus that we have to believe in ourselves. Fake it till you make it. What does this mean? Is that we have to keep on trying, even though we do not feel happy. We have to put a smile on our face and keep on walking forward to improving, because eventually we will make it. So another tip is to stand up straight, walk with purpose, and show a lot of confidence. Thank you.